Hey everybody, how's it going? And welcome to Daily's 2A News. It looks like we're going to be talking about California again because the Attorney General Javier Becerra says that the state constitution gives him the right to limit your constitutional rights. So let's talk about it. Now, I gotta be honest, I think California politicians must love getting sued. Honestly, why else would they do everything that they're doing unless they love getting sued? Because they're getting sued at a rapid pace these days. You know, I think what happens is, in the morning, somebody comes in with a cup of coffee and a tape measure, and they measure up the stacks of lawsuits on everybody's desk for the day to see who's the winner. Whoever has the highest stack of lawsuits wins, and then they win the office pool. That's probably what it is. But you know, the sad part and the reality of this is that it's the California taxpayer that's on the hook for all this stuff. And it's kind of like a paradigm. It's like Inception, because what you have here is the civil liberties and the rights of the people that are being infringed. And so they go to the different groups like Firearms Policy Coalition, Gun Owners of California, and they file lawsuits against the state or against the Attorney General or against the governor or whatever, right? So they file these lawsuits. But then it's their tax money that's used to fight back against the lawsuit that they started. So it's your tax money in California, it's your tax money that's going to the government, and the government's using your tax money to fight back against all these lawsuits. Your rights are being infringed, and your tax money is being used to push those infringements back on you. So here's the problem with California politicians, and I know this applies to all politicians, but California politicians are the most power-hungry bunch that you will ever meet. And they will do anything in order to stay in power. They will lie, they will cheat, they will steal, they'll use ballot harvesting, they will gut and amend. If you don't know what a gut and amend is, basically they'll take a bill that says no watering your grass every third Thursday. And once that passes committee and it gets to a certain point, they'll take all the language out of that bill and they'll replace it with gun control. Then it doesn't have to go back through all that committee. It's already passed all that stuff as a don't water your grass every Thursday type thing. And then they'll put a bunch of gun control in it, which makes it a lot easier for them to pass. And you don't have a chance to actually fight against it because it's already gone through all the public hearing process and all that stuff. Okay, that's how deceitful California politicians are. And it just shows you that when Democrats have a majority pretty much anywhere, and Virginia is a great example of this recently, you know, when Democrats take over anything, they try and get as much power as possible and try and assert as much power as possible over their citizens. And so what happened here is we have Javier Becerra, who's responding to a lawsuit that was filed by Ben Stein, who essentially said, look, this stay-at-home order and the way that you guys are issuing it is a lot like a soft house arrest and that you're violating people's civil liberties. Well, it was Javier Becerra's response to that really got me upset. So here's what happened. Javier Becerra was giving an interview to the Associated Press where they were talking about civil liberties and, you know, what he was allowed or not allowed to do and the lawsuits that were being filed against him. And Javier Becerra seems to think that somehow the U.S. Constitution and the state constitution of California give him the right to infringe on people's constitutional rights, not just the Second Amendment, but the First Amendment and the Third Amendment, and the Fourth Amendment, and the Fifth Amendment. It gives him the right to infringe on people's rights if there's a health issue. So basically he's using the guise of public health to say, look, I can go ahead and I can infringe on your rights because you don't have the right to get somebody else sick. That's what he's saying. Now, he used religion in his response. He said, look, people have a right to their religion and they have a right to practice their religion. But he says it doesn't give you a right to then go and practice your religion when it's a health risk and you might get somebody else sick. He's not going to extend that right to somebody if it means that it invades the public health. And so, again, he's saying that simply a public health issue is enough to infringe on your constitutional rights right off the top. That's what he's saying. I mean, there's no other way to interpret it. He's saying that if there's a public health risk, the Constitution is thrown out the window. That your rights, the Bill of Rights, have been thrown out the window. That's what Becerra thinks. So that's the thing you have to try and remember. Through this entire process, when you wonder why he would do some of the things that he's doing, it's because that's what he believes. In order to protect the public health, he has unfettered control. That he can do what he wants, that he can nullify certain parts of the U.S. Constitution, that he can simply stop allowing people from accessing their rights, just simply because of a health issue. Now, when it comes to religion, I can practice religion right now. I can get on my knees and I can pray. I can practice my religion. I can read the Bible. I can do all those things. When it comes to freedom of speech, I can get online. I can get on video. I can get on the phone. I can go outside. You know, I can do what I want. Now, here's the problem. He's trying to stop the freedom to assemble because obviously large crowds are prohibited. So people can't go out. They don't have a right to assemble. They don't have a right to address their leaders for a grievance. You know, they don't have a right to assemble. That's something that they can't get right now. So he's infringed on that right. And then the Second Amendment, when people are not allowed to access gun shops and gun shops are being closed in different counties, in California, they made it so restrictive to get a firearm that if you try to go get a gun and there's no FFL, you just can't do it. So somebody who doesn't own a gun in California that would like to get one can't. So you're infringing on people's Second Amendment rights. He knows what he's doing. I think we all know he knows what he's doing. He's not an idiot. He just doesn't care. This gives them more power. It gives them more power over you, and they like it. And they like the feeling of it. I guarantee you they like the ability to use health as their crutch to do what they always wanted to do anyway. I think that's what California politicians are up to. They're using this health crisis to try and push as many of their unconstitutional rulings down your throat. And so, again, it's sad to see so many lawsuits go up to the governor's desk and Javier Becerra's desk that have to be paid for by the California taxpayer when they're the ones that probably filed the lawsuits to begin with. But that's what's happening in California. Javier Becerra feels that this health crisis gives him the right to infringe on your constitutional rights. And I think you guys need to let him know that that's not the way that it works. So write him an email, call him, write him a letter, text him. I don't know, write a letter to his house. Let him know that you don't agree with what he's doing, because it's absolutely ridiculous and it needs to stop. California has got to get on track and got to get rid of the tyrannical leaders that are in charge of California right now. Anyway, I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. Have a great day.